Explanation. If anyone knows what I'm talking about in Clerks 2, it's like these nerds having a nerd off. I think it's between what's better, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. And it's pretty fucking hilarious.
Star Wars.
Star Wars is better?
Yeah, easy.
Ooh.
Next question.
I wouldn't have expected that from you, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, you really dislike the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy, leaving only 3 films to like outside of Solo and Rogue One. It's not that much.
I loved Rogue One, and I also really liked The Last Jedi. That's the second
Oh,
one, right?
well, The Last Jedi is pretty fucking dope.
Yeah,
That's another situation where the second film was better than the first and last of a trilogy. Weird how that works out. Even though, to be fair, this past sequel trilogy of Star Wars were totally disconnected in any way you could possibly imagine.
You got one director, then another director, and then another one, which I don't feel is a valid excuse. That's an excuse I see a lot of people use, where they say, well, if J.J. Abrams would have done all 3, it would have been a better story. I mean, there are other franchises where it's a different director on all of the sequels, right? Like Harry Potter movies all have different directors, right?
I'm not well educated in the directing of the Harry Potter films because there's like 6 or 7 movies of those. But I will say this: it would, honestly, I don't think it would have been that crazy to have J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, and then J.J. Abrams again in the directing side of things. But the problem is that they didn't do what they do with Marvel movies. They didn't have a through line of what they were going to do with the franchise. I know they didn't. Yeah, they didn't have Kevin Feige. They didn't have this huge masterpiece pre-written, like a roadmap. They didn't have that. And it clearly shows, especially by the time you get to Rise of Skywalker, which, granted, I still enjoy that movie a lot, but I'm not in a hurry to see it again, only because since I've watched it the second time, it's just, I realize how
it doesn't age well.
They are. Well, it's just that they just didn't know what they were going to do with the saga. They didn't know. They really didn't know. They might have had an idea, but obviously both directors / writers had different visions altogether.
I was watching How I Met Your Mother.
It was the Sloppy Joe of movies. I'm sorry, I'll put it that way. Continue.
I was watching How I Met Your Mother, and there's this funny scene where in the previous episodes, Marshall, his father passes away, so his friends are treating him like, like he's glass. He's super delicate. and he's testing them out because he knows they are, and he's tired of it. And he was like, I think The Phantom Menace was the best movie in Star Wars. And I'm like, and then Barney was like, it ages well. I love that. I laughed so hard when I saw that.
The biggest friend lie you could ever tell. That's awesome.
But Mandalorian, I mean, I love the Star Wars lore, like the whole religion behind the Jedi and then the Sith. It's just the movies. Some of these movies were not good.
Unfortunately, yeah. Oh, you know what? Speaking of Star Wars lore, so I mean, ever since the new movies have come out, the sequel trilogy, they've rewritten the lore and such. And the most recent run of new lore is coming out already. It started last month, if I'm not mistaken, and it's called The High Republic. It's really cool. It's kind of based in the past, like ages and ages before the Phantom Menace and all that. It's kind of during the peak of the Jedi at the height of their powers. It's pretty sick. Ooh. It's pretty sick. And I'm reading the first book right now. I'm probably about like a third of the way through it. It's really, really fun. Really, really tight. And I don't know, it's a very easy read, and yet it's nicely detailed as well. Not like a Tolkien book to where, like, well, don't get me wrong, Tolkien books are written beautifully and all that.
They're long.
But at the same time, yes, at the same time, I don't need to know at what time of the day the moss was growing on the tree and how glistening it was and how it had been growing on that tree for thousands of years before anyone had ever set sight upon it. You know, I don't need to know about that.
I'm good, bro. Yeah.
It's more like, pass me my lightsaber. Let's fuck shit up. Something like that, you know?
And that's why it's better.
God damn it. I would love to see, I mean, I'd probably get burned at the stake for saying this, but I would enjoy the idea of seeing someone either write a new book within the Tolkien verse, if you will, or a new movie within the Tolkien verse, like a contemporary artist, like maybe a Ryan Johnson or maybe even a J.J. Abrams. You know, they're both very good at doing big and epic stuff, and it would be interesting to see them do more of a fantasy thing. I think.